guys, welcome back to another video. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be making a testimony video, as you can tell by the title, which is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And like I said in my last video, I'm going to be making more Christian content because it's just a really big part of my life and I feel like I haven't been transparent with you guys about it. And also, if it helps people, that is my main goal, just to help at least one person, maybe you can relate. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. So starting off, whenever I was born into a household that claimed to be Christians, but I didn't really grow up in a church because my family didn't go to church. It was mainly just like, say you're Christian, but we're not going to do anything about it really. When my parents divorced, it was split custody. So whenever I was with my father, we didn't go to church really at all. But whenever I went to my mom's house, we kind of float to some churches. We never found a place at the trailer that we were staying at. But whenever we moved into the house that I'm in currently, we started going to the church right down the road, like 2 houses down. There I met one of my best friends at the time, and her dad was a pastor. I liked it because, I could be with my friends and everything, but I never actually connected to God the whole time I was there. I literally just played Geometry Dash the whole sermon. It definitely wasn't very helpful in any way for me spiritually, but I was there from the age of 7 to 12, pretty much. I don't want to speak for my mom, but I think that both of us kind of went to that church as like a social event, you know what I mean? And I don't think it was really something impactful to us spiritually. Through that time of being in elementary school, I was pretty heavily bullied for multiple different things, and I was honestly just kind of a bully myself because I had so many insecurities built up that I didn't really acknowledge, but I was taking it out on other people. And not only that, but I had pretty bad anger issues. I had a really, really negative mindset all the time. I just think that from the very beginning, my life wasn't very peaches and rainbows. So whenever I saw all the other kids and their life seemed perfect, I was just really jealous, and it made me feel a lot of hatred towards them and myself for not being like them. And not only that, but it kind of made me turn towards food. So I was a bit on the bigger side growing up, and people would make fun of me for that as well. I did go to therapy for the first time, and that was for my anger issues mainly. It didn't really help though. I just basically told therapists what I thought they wanted to hear because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. It was just a whole lot of ups and downs all through elementary school. Going into 6th grade that summer, my dad and my stepmom found a church, and they started going to it pretty consistently. So whenever I was with my mom, I would go to the church down the street, and then whenever I was with him, I would go to the church that they went to, which I never felt very impacted at either. I didn't really know how to look at church without seeing it as a social event. I didn't know what it was really supposed to be or how it would benefit me. 6th grade for me was quarantine, or COVID hitting. So in March, all churches, all schools, everything closed, and I was completely cut off with that part of my world. But honestly, I don't remember ever missing it in any way. But during that time of isolation, really, really helped me. I know it's embarrassing to say, but a TikTok was sent to me by my best friend Sophie, and it was talking about just heaven in general, and I just realized how little I knew about heaven and God and everything, and I felt so convicted. That was the first time I think I ever truly felt convicted, knew it was from the Lord. I just remember having this overwhelming sense of dread over myself because, one, I knew I was lukewarm, which lukewarm means saying you're Christian but not acting on it or acting as a Christian lifestyle, not having a relationship with God in any way. And 2, I knew I wasn't going to get to heaven living the way I was. So that was when I decided to make the change. I really tried to get into reading my Bible more. I didn't really know where to go. I think that a big problem is that whenever somebody wants to give their life to God, especially in the situation that mine happened, I didn't know where to go, who to talk to, what to do about it. I just did what I knew. I put out my little kid Bible and I just started reading, and I didn't know who any characters in the Bible were at that time. I had no idea. I didn't even pay attention to the little kid stories that they were talking about in church. That's also whenever my dad and stepmom invited me to watch Elevation Church with them. And if you don't know what that is, it's just a huge church. There's has 8 different locations. I mean, there's a reason why they have so many locations. They're really, really great. And Elevation Music is a part of that as well. Definitely check them out if you don't know what I'm talking about. They invited me to start watching Elevation Church, and it really touched me. If you're needing guidance on how to start living more godly or just try to figure out more about Christianity itself, I suggest just watching sermons online. Like, there's so many sermons on YouTube. Alex Wilson, someone I will always suggest. And if you have any more questions, just comment down below. I'll list them all. But also during 7th grade, I decided that I wanted to lose weight. So I started working out, eating less. It just kind of got a really dark spiral for me. And I finished 7th grade with an eating disorder, an unhealthy body, and an unhealthy mindset. During the time of that whole eating disorder process was whenever I felt my relationship with Christ was really growing. I kept asking him for like guidance and all the other things that came with just having an eating disorder, all the confusion, all the anxiety, all everything, and he didn't give it to me at first. And I realized now that he put me through that when he knew I could take it, because I had him with me. Before, if I would have gone through that, I don't know how I would have made it out not having him, because he really was the light to my path in that whole really dark time of my life. Now I can help other people in my life who are dealing with the same things as I did, and I'm so grateful I can do that. It didn't make sense at the time, but now it does. That's all I have. That's how I'm going to end that off. It doesn't make sense then, but it does now. Also, in 7th grade, I started going to a different church with my friend at the time. It just like wasn't the crowd of people that I just feel the most connected with. I don't know how to explain it. I just didn't feel very connected with the atmosphere and everything there, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with. And it's completely normal to not necessarily feel as connected with one church as you will another, because it's just what God has planned for you. You know what I mean? I stopped going to that church, and I'm pretty churchless for a while. But I'm still watching online, and I'm still doing my daily Bible devotionals and journaling and all this type of thing. So I don't think that my relationship with God was too damaged during that time. I just didn't have a church that I called my own. In 8th grade, I started going to the church that I still go to. They are absolutely amazing. I love that church with all of my heart. As soon as I walked in the building, I was like, okay, I get this. I vibe with this. This is something I've never experienced before, and something that I want to continue experiencing. And one day you'll find a church like that. It may take a lot of trials and a lot of fails trying to find that church, but there's one out there for you, and I promise you that. I made an amazing group of friends through that church, and they're still my friends, and I love them with all of my heart, and they're the best guidance to my life. Same with my youth pastor. Shout out Miss Jessica, I love you. They all just inspire me so much, and I can go to them literally about everything without feeling any sort of judgment. It's actually the first place that I gave my testimony at, in the youth room, talking to a bunch of teenagers who scared the crap out of me. But I think that for the first couple months of me going there, my relationship with God was still very logical. It wasn't very emotional, you know what I mean? I've always been oh my gosh, it's raining. Sorry if y'all hear that, but it might be nice, it might be therapeutic. I'm just a very logical person. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. I just love the logics, I guess. But it's really hard for things to click in my brain that I don't understand, and if I don't understand it, then I just don't care in general. God, he clicked in my brain, but I didn't know he was supposed to do more than just click. So I finally realized what it felt like to put an identity to God's name, because God isn't just some like figure in our imagination that we know about, that we know exists, that know what he did for us. He is a actual like being that loves us. Think about somebody who you love. Like, that's him to us. He loves us, and he will do anything for us, and he wants us. He genuinely wants us, and he likes us all the time. I don't think there's anybody in my life that I can say that likes me all the time, because that's just how, like, that's not normal to like someone all the time. You know what I mean? You can get frustrated with people. I mean, you can love them all the time, but you don't always like them all the time. God, he likes you and loves you all the time, and that is something so beautiful. And whenever I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this all makes so much more sense. Last year during 9th grade, I had quite a bit of anxiety flare up, and I didn't ever really deal with anxiety on that such a level before. I don't think it really made me upset, and I think that looking back on my life, I have dealt with anxiety for a lot of it, but I didn't exactly know like what it was or what was making me feel that way. And whenever I get anxious, I normally get pretty depressed. I feel very distant from myself. And whenever I get anxious, I have a hard time making time for myself and doing the things that I enjoy doing. And that's just how I felt all of second semester of freshman year. I was so anxious. I didn't know where to go to ask for help without judgment. It was just a really hard time. It was a really, really hard time. And I continued to pray to God to bring me through this, and he didn't at the time, and he said no. God can say no. He didn't bring me through it at the time. He was with me the whole time, but I didn't feel the peace until this summer, whenever I fully surrendered it. Because whenever I was praying to him to take it away from me, I was still holding on to it, thinking that I could fix it somehow by myself. You can't do that. You can't just say, God, I give it to you, but like I'm going to take it back for a couple minutes. That's not how it works. And God waited until I fully surrendered it to him and him only. And I can say confidently right now that I have a mind of peace and a mind of deliverance from that version of myself. And he did it completely. I did nothing. He did it completely. And I'm so beyond grateful for that, because I do not know how I could have gone on if that would have, happened for much longer, because it's really, really draining to be anxious all the time and sad all the time and feeling like disappointed in yourself about everything you do, disgusted with yourself. And God doesn't want you to feel like that. God doesn't want his children to be disgusted with what he made. I mean, that's almost like slapping him in the face. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, because although I don't necessarily have an eating disorder anymore, I still get very disgusted with myself if I do things that don't line up to what my eating disorder thoughts like to tell me sometimes. And I have to remember that this is the vessel that God has given me. He lives in me, and I should never feel disgusted with that. And you should never feel disgusted with that. God has given you this beautiful life filled with so many better things than the worldly things can offer you. They're all fake. They're not going to make you feel better. I just wanted to give this word. Hope you guys enjoyed my testimony. I hope it helps you guys in some way. And I'm so grateful for this platform. And if y'all have any questions, please comment them down below, because I am all ears. So, although YouTube does turn off my comments sometimes without me knowing. But love you guys. See you in my next one. Jesus loves you.